So what's going on, guys? I am Amazing. Welcome back to another video on the channel where today we are back with a Zombies Q&A, the series where I take your questions from the comment section below to do with the Zombies storyline, Easter eggs, and I answer them. Just a couple of questions to answer from you guys today since there's a longer one and I don't have as much time, but hopefully you guys still enjoy anyway. Make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Leave any question you have down below for future videos, but let's get into this. Here we go. So the first question of the day says, why are the giant robots we see in Origins named Thor, Odin, and Freya? So we know that the giant robots were created by Group 935. They were made primarily, obviously using metal, but also element 115. That is what keeps them moving. Without 115, these robots wouldn't have been possible, which when you think about it is kind of strange because surely it would have. But anyway, it was Group 935 that gave them these names, but the real reason as to why we don't really know. It could be that because Group 935 believed it was these three robots that would secure them victory for the Central Powers, giving them strong names would only suit what their purpose was. These robots were like gods to Group 935. It was these robots that were going to win them the war. And when you think of a god, in a lot of cases, you think of someone that leads their people to victory, and that's what these robots represented. So I think that's probably why they were given these names, because that's what Group 935 saw them as. If I'm not wrong in saying, and I remember correctly, Odin is the middle robot, and then either side of him we have Thor and Freya. Freya was Odin's love, and Thor of course was his son, so it's almost like the middle one, Odin, is leading the other two, not forgetting that they were also a part of Germanic mythology. So yeah, really it makes sense. Other than that, what other names would they have? Charlie, Bill, Roger, probably a little bit boring. I'm sorry to anyone out there who's called that, but it's not what I want to be naming a giant robot that's supposed to be intimidating and is something that you think is going to win you the war. The next question of the day says, are Misty and Tank Dempsey related? Now this is a question that I've had a bunch of times over the years. I would say really ever since we've been introduced to Misty back in Transit during BO2. We knew that Dempsey did have a daughter when we were first introduced to him in World at War, or Black Ops 1 I think it was. He mentioned back in the 1940s having a 5-year-old daughter, and straight away with me telling you that, you should be able to recognise for yourself that it is impossible for Misty to be Dempsey's daughter, but I can understand still why a lot of people ask this question, because there are little pieces of information here and there, whether it be quotes, stuff we are told by Misty, things we know about her and things we know about Dempsey, where you could possibly think otherwise. Now, one thing that all of the characters have in correlation is that we really don't know anyone's exact age, besides from potentially Richtofen, who, because both of his parents died during 1898, we don't know the cause of their death, but I would assume because of circumstances that took place after. Richtofen would have been very young during 1898. The next time in the original storyline we saw Richtofen was in the 40s in Derice. If you look at him, I would have said he was around maybe 45 years old there, in his late 40s, maybe his early 50s. So if we assume that all of the other Ultimus characters, Dempsey, Taki and Nikolai, were about the same age as Richtofen, they would have been born around the same time as him as well, sometime during the 1890s. So we don't know Dempsey's exact birth date, but we do have a pretty good estimate. And then if we look at when Misty was born, well, all we know is it was sometime before 2017. Transit, which was the first time we saw her, took place in the year 2035. Purely guessing, in that map, I would have said Misty looks around 30, maybe her late 20s, early 30s, which means she would have been born around the mid-2000s. Let's just say for argument's sake, Misty was born in 2005. And so putting all of these dates together, Dempsey being born in the 1890s, Misty being born in the 2000s, it's impossible. And like I said earlier, Dempsey mentioned in 1945 that he had a 5-year-old daughter, which means she would have been born in 1940. We don't know if that was his only daughter, but if it was, and it was Misty, that would mean that in Transit in 2035, Misty would be 95 years old. And we can tell by looking at her, yeah, she's a lot younger than that. So just by working out the dates, we know that isn't true. I have seen some people in the past say, well, Dempsey is alive during the time of Moon, and Moon takes place in 2035, and in that map he looks in his 40s. The very easy explanation for that is time travel. That doesn't affect age, but one thing that we can't change is your date of birth. So with the hard factual evidence of dates, there is no way this could be possible, but there are a few other ideas I wanted to entertain which are pretty interesting. If we look at the backgrounds of both of these characters, well, even though we don't know too much about Misty's past, we do know that she used to live on a farm. She worked at a bar called the Boathouse, had many different boyfriends, but when it comes to her parents, both of them were killed. Her mother died of an unknown cause, and her father was killed by the zombies. Misty specifically says she remembers her daddy's face when the zombies got him. Now, Dempsey, of course, is very much still alive, yet we have Misty telling her that she saw with her own eyes her father be killed by the undead, so that's another reason why it can't be true, because Dempsey's still alive. However, one thing that Dempsey and Misty's father did have in common is it seems like they were both Marines. If you listen to this quote in Tag the Totem that Misty says,
"That headshot was for you, Daddy. Hoorah!"
She said, "That headshot's for you, Daddy. Hoorah." That word or phrase, hoorah, is a battle cry in the Marines. Any person that plays zombies will know that this is something that Dempsey says an awful lot, which makes sense because he was a Marine, he's very proud of it.
Hoorah! Don't fuck with a Marine! Ooh fucking rah, motherfuckers!
So both Dempsey and Misty's father were Marines, but that's about it. I suppose besides on the fact that they also have pretty similar personalities in my opinion. They're both set in their ways, they're stubborn, they're proud, don't like to show too much emotion. Even though I would have liked it to be true, it would have been cool. Yeah, there are way too many reasons why it's not. Misty's name as well, Misty Abigail Brighton, Tank Dempsey, unless Misty got married, which she doesn't mention, or took someone else's name, a stepfather for example. The only other link we could possibly make is Misty's mother. Misty tells us absolutely nothing about her, but Dempsey and Peter McCain do have this conversation in Alpha Omega.
That really you, McCain? I gotta know for sure. Tell me something only the two of us would know.
You sure you want me to do that, Tank? We go way back. I can embarrass the heck out of you if I wanted to.
Okay, let's keep it cryptic. Me and Phoebe. Sum it up in 3 words.
I forgive you.
Can't say I'm surprised. However mad you were at the time, I knew you'd come around. You've always been the forgiving type.
Man, discreet. See how I didn't embarrass you by telling everyone exactly who Phoebe is?
So Dempsey asks Peter to sum him and someone called Phoebe up in 3 words, and Peter says, "I forgive you." We don't know exactly who Phoebe was, but judging by their conversation and the kind of awkwardness and the way that Peter forgives him, it sounds like Phoebe used to have a relationship with Peter McCain, whether she was his wife or his girlfriend, but she then ended up either cheating on Peter and getting with Dempsey, or she just left Peter and went to Dempsey. Either way, it sounds like Phoebe ended up being Dempsey's wife or girlfriend. There is no mention of her anywhere else in the zombie storyline. If we did know Misty's mother's name, this could have been another thing we could have used, but we don't, so I can't say for certain whether Phoebe was Misty's mother or not. But putting everything together, it's very clear that no, there's no relationship between the two. They're definitely not father and daughter. Maybe some other kind of relationship, like grandfather, late cousin, uncle, probably not. So guys, there we go, that's it. That is all I have time for today's video. As always, hopefully you have enjoyed. If you have, a like rating is always appreciated. Make sure that you're subscribed to the channel to stay up to date with the latest videos, and as always, I will see you in the next one. Until then, goodbye.